Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a good start to the week despite all that's going on in our lives and in the world. But fear not, we're just here to talk it out like civilized human beings that don't argue and don't yell at each other. Sorry, this isn't a Fox special, so or CNN where we're just gonna have a two-on-one, but rather just a kind of honest, plain conversation about, you know, whoopsie. About just things in general. And I had a recent experience with a close friend of mine, and it really sucked because it really just kind of proved to me through my fault and in my opinion fault of him as well, because we are trapped in a never-ending loop with the media, the culture wars, and everything that this country puts in front of us without being able to see the trees from the forest. Have you ever noticed that there was a time when arguments just used to end? Like that would just be the end of it, right? We would disagree, we'd get annoyed, and then we just moved on with our lives, with our day, right? On to the next thing, because life's too short. Now, things are just, I feel, have irreparably changed ever since, the advent of social media, 2000, let's just say 15, 13 to 15, depending on what year you want to clock it. But, social media went from basically seeing our friends' lives and experiences at the party to then being siloed off into, echo chambers, opinions, and, you know, these opinions then became weaponized against our own friends and families, even complete strangers who we have no problem with at all. Real truth now is that arguments don't just end, they follow us. They're on our phone, they're at our dinner table, we're having them with all out keyboard wars with complete strangers on the internet. And I'm just getting tired of it. I know you are too. It's every day with a new story, a new optics that pits us all against each other. And meanwhile, the train keeps moving, nothing stops, the debt grows larger, right points to the left, left points to the right, and we're just trained to pick sides. Now it seems like we're just spewing our anger and frustrations that we built up inside of us onto the people we love the most, our friends and family. I don't know about you, but I certainly believe that that's probably one of the most important things that we care about in this life. Money is great. Money will pay our bills and buy us some fun trinkets and some technology that we'll get tired of in a year or two, and we'll have to go upgrade to the new technology. But that's just not it anymore. And it's all just that we need to feel that we are right, that we have the last word, right? However, I think you've noticed this too. If I feel this way, I usually think other people are feeling this way because I can't be alone. That most arguments these days aren't about understanding. No, it's about controlling the narrative and the optics of a situation. About not letting the other person walk away feeling like they've won or that they are morally superior, intellectually superior, that they schooled you. And I'm as much a victim of this too. I recognize that I'm part of the problem. And that's why I at least say, you have to take accountability and responsibility for the things you say and do in this world. Granted, there is free speech, but you do not get, free, that you don't get to escape the consequences of your actions. Fair enough, right? You can say whatever you want, but people also have the rights to react however they want. Because this is all about not letting the other person walk away feeling like they won. far too often, silence feels like surrendering. And when we stay silent to just let things roll off our back, it often feels like surrender to us, which there is a lot of power in surrendering to knowing that you don't have the power to change someone else's opinion, to change macroeconomics like supply and demand, like changing the labor market situations. There's just some things we have no control over, and that's fine. However, when we try and do mental gymnastics to believe that our opinion holds this much weight is where we start chasing each other to get the last word. A lot of people like to try and frame this in a negative light about why having the last word feels so damn good. And go online, just type in the last word. A lot of it is going to be, you know, aggressive clickbait titles about, you're a narcissist, you're a piece of dirt, that your opinion's the only one that matters. That's not the case. Everybody's opinion matters because that is their prerogative of the reality that they live in. And you can't tell someone that the reality they live in is not true. That only antagonizes them further. And it's not because we're narcissists, but rather that the human brain does not and cannot stand unfinished stories. Well, just look at Fallout. How many of us freaked out when we saw Macaulay Culkin in the latest episode, and now we have to wait till Wednesday to see the new episode as they drip the new seasons out more and more, reverting back to the golden age of television, right? Weekly releases. But I digress. I love films, so sorry about that. When arguments end without closure for most people, and I speak from my own experience, I'm not telling you what to think or what to believe or how you act, but my brain often goes down the rabbit holes. It goes during the showers, when I'm trying to sleep at 2 a.m. looking at the ceiling, or when I'm driving in the car and I'm stuck in traffic and I'm on autopilot. And that's why people are so insistent on having the last word. And that comes in many forms. They want to send one last message, just to be clear. Well, I'm going to say this one last thing and then we're done. Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. Okay, sure. Do this. It's my favorite one. Like you're just going to drop a nuclear bomb and there's going to be no fallout for consequences. But having the last word isn't about dominating, it's about relief. The sad part is technology has only made humans become more tribalistic in that, and granted, we've always been tribalistic. I don't mean to say we've never been tribalistic, but it just has been so amplified up until this point that online arguments just change everything. Because before the internet, there was a natural way of things going about on an argument, right? Someone ended up leaving the room, someone hung up the phone. Sometimes life just happened and we had to just get going back to our responsibilities. Now, there is no exit. There's only a pause button waiting for us to return. A never ending, infinite comment box that demands to be responded to. Social media keeps us on through negative engagement because positivity doesn't hit the same as the negative material does. Count on top of that that social media rewards replies, likes, and validation, which we are all seeking. as human beings. I'm totally guilty of this, that I crave attention and I want to feel like I matter more and more, even though it doesn't even matter at the end of the day. Because in these arenas of social commentary, silence gets buried, and more often than not, conflicts get boosted. And slowly, becoming right becomes more and more part of your identity. Such as social media, politics has changed. We have now more interest in politics from the general population than we've had since, I believe, the 60s, and it is having a shockingly negative effect on society, in my opinion. This is my opinion, because politics didn't just polarize us, it retrained us, rewiring our brains, just like a drug addict does. Because now changing your mind isn't looked at as growth, it's looked at as betrayal to yourself, to your values. So if you ever do concede a point, you must be weak. You've been compromised. Well, you're just on the wrong side. Right? That's a favorite one I love to hear. As if to frame it that I'm right, you're wrong, I'm good, which makes you evil by transitive property. The debate never ever ends. It only just gets amplified and paused until the next topic to destroy each other. I'm just as guilty. I've had multiple crash outs with my friends that I'm not proud of because I let the moment take hold of me and my emotions get the better of me. And to my friends and family who I have acted in this regard, I do apologize because that is not who I am. That's not what I believe. I believe we are stronger together when we are unified in a common cause that benefits us all, not just one group. One always needs to have the final statistic, the final comment, the final headline, the final insult. This isn't to convince you, no, but to prove some sort of allegiance. The last word often becomes a flag that's planted in the digital soil, proclaiming, "Here I am, I've made my mark. This is who I am, and I will not move." And that mentality evolves to arguments, online arguments entering our homes, which is supposed to be our safest space. Because this is where it often gets real, and we feel it impact our actual life. Actually, I know from my own experience that the internet does end up at the dinner table more often than we'd like it to. Families stop arguing about ideas and start arguing. Families stop arguing about ideas and start arguing about policies. Ideas. Families stop talking about ideas and start arguing over character. I've seen this in so many videos of families having conversations with each other where it's just, how can you believe that? Well, that tells me everything I need to know about you then. And suddenly, our own parents become our greatest villains. Our siblings become unknown strangers to us. Our uncles become unredeemable, or whatever fun phrase you want to call the crazy uncle or what have you. Not because anyone changed policy views, but because judgment replaced curiosity. Actually, how friendships often end. And they don't happen in a huge explosion, but they happen quietly and slowly. This comes in the forms of group texts are not answered, You're just always busy. The invites to the party stop coming, and you notice everyone around you is walking on eggshells. There's no closure, but only distance. And as humans, we hate an unfinished stories. All because someone needed to be right, and someone else felt prematurely misunderstood. Again, this is what turns culture wars into dangerous battlefields because our friends and family and complete strangers who we have no care about in the world are our greatest enemies. These people turn into positions rather than people. Your friend isn't your friend anymore. They're just a stance that you're against. Your family member isn't complex. No, they're just on the wrong side of this. Right? That's that makes us all feel good if we hear that, right? The fact is that once people become symbols, the other person's empathy dies. And without empathy, relationships will not survive. This is what's so bred into our culture, the idea of winning that we're taught at a young age. We have to compete in sports, at school, at work, in the culture, to be recognized, to be successful, to show others how much better we're doing. Here's the part that nobody likes to admit. Being right feels really good, and I know because who doesn't like to feel morally superior, intellectually superior, feeling that they took the high ground, so to speak, right? But it's only for a brief moment until the dopamine fades and we're right back to where we were. And then the sad part is that we don't even realize this until it's too late. And it's often manifests itself in the form of, you know, being at an empty dinner table on the holidays. And no argument is worth winning, in my opinion, to lose the most important people in your life. No viral response is worth losing a lifelong friend. But our ego is a dangerous weapon if left unchecked. That, along with our pride, will tell us that this person was only holding us back. We're better without them. Until one day you realize, you know what, you're right. I am alone. And this is where it takes someone with real strength to understand that real strength isn't about dominating a conversation. No, it's about having the power to let the conversation die. It's choosing understanding over ego, curiosity over certainty, silence over escalation. Sometimes love means letting an argument just die. I am terrible at doing this. I'm working on it in my own marriage. Um, that that's a different topic, different video. But this isn't because you're wrong, but because the person matters more than being right. It feels like in this day and age that we are more and more having an easy time just sacrificing the people we love at the altar of being right in this society in the hopes of winning some fancy, flashy prize that is just a shiny veneer that's hollow on the inside. Because years from now, you're not going to remember being right. Because years from now, no one will remember who won the argument or what even the argument was about, but only who stopped showing up in our lives. So the real question we have to ask ourselves isn't, am I right? But it's rather, who in my life that I love am I willing to lose in order to be right? Anyways, if you like the video, please hit the like, subscribe. Got more talks coming out about this. Definitely think we could all use some more talks like this. Just have honest conversations. Hope you guys have a great week. Don't let the news get you down. Let's stay positive and let's get it.